stream going. I see red on the stream. Looks like that means it's not working. Not sure. Yeah, looks like we're kind of working. I don't know. Alright, I'm going to roll with it. Alright, greetings everybody. Thanks for joining. This is Chris Whiteman with Tethys Interactive, and today we're doing a live dev stream on the AI integration that we're doing right now. We're rebuilding our AI. I had written the AI from scratch about 1.5 years ago, and it was kind of a real quick and dirty deal, and now we're using a plugin. The plugin just provides opportunities and optimizations that we didn't have previously, and we still got to actually build all the behaviors out. So with that in mind, the system that we're using is called Ice Creature Control. Of course, we're using Unity, and the name of the game is Astral Terra. It's on Steam Early Access right now. It's a procedurally generated smooth voxel game with exploration, crafting, and RPG elements. So if you're interested, go check it out. Anywho, we're doing this video right now just to kind of show what we've been working on recently, and also it can be a little bit of a help to people, other developers trying to use the ICE system. So we'll show a couple things that we're using in our game and how we've set up our AI and stuff. So I have a new merchant I'm working on. It's going to be a wandering merchant. We're actually going to start with this lizard man. This is our most recent mob that we added. We worked on this guy on the live dev stream yesterday afternoon, but the stream failed out for some reason. Not sure why that happened. So anyway, we are now attempting to do this again today. The lizard man's already done now, but I'll go over just kind of how this whole system works and what's required, and then we'll actually set up the merchant there with some kind of basic stuff. So for our ICE AI system, we're using Mechanim. So we set it up with an animator and an animator controller. Every character has a set of animations. They don't have to be connected or anything. All we have to do is make sure the animations don't have root animation or do have root motion in their animations, depending on what you want to do. We're using rigid body motion, so we don't have any root motion in our animations, but we do have them set to loop the appropriate ones that you need to loop. So whenever creating an animator for an ICE creature control, all you have to do is simply create the animator and then drop a bunch of animations that are ready on it, and you're good to go. Then of course you got to set them up in the ICE creature control, but as far as setting up the animation, that's all you need to do. It's pretty quick and easy. So there is our animator on our lizard man here, and then we have set up the ICE creature control, and this is all for networking as well. So we have networking components set up on him. And then ICE is basically driven by 3 main sections, which is your essentials, your interactions, and your missions. And then these things refer to your setup with status and behaviors. So for example, when we set up a ICE, any kind of AI, we just need to go through a bunch of the basics here. We have culling so that creatures stay within a certain range of the camera now. This is something we didn't have in Astral Terra before. It's a huge optimization. So now we'll only be spawning character AI within a certain range, and they will always be in that range, and when they get out of that range, they will be culled and new AI will be added. We're using a pooling system, which is in the main options. For motion and pathfinding, we're using rigid body with we're going to ignore root motion. We're using gravity, And then instead of nav mesh, one of the things that's great about ice creature control and why we use it in Astral Terra is that it doesn't require nav mesh, Unity nav mesh. We can just do ray casting and set it to a layer, and creatures can walk around on the terrain no problem. It's a pretty sweet little feature, and it was one of our main reasons for using ice. So that's a huge strength that they have there. Next we have the obstacle avoidance area. You set that up with layers and they will avoid those things, but you need to have overlap prevention enabled as well. We have that set so it puts a capsule around the character. It's set to the same size as the capsule that collider that is around the character. That's pretty standard for having creatures or AI or players walk around on the terrain or in your environment. And then we also set up deadlock prevention here with update. So we'll update its position. What this all does is it makes it so as our creatures walk around in the forests, they will avoid the tree layer. So because it's natural for them to be walking into trees if you don't have this set. But by doing this, you'll see in the game now the creatures, as they walk into obstacles, will actually make a course correction and walk around things that are in the way of their waypoints. So that's a pretty nice little feature. If you're using ice yourself and you want to set this up, just make sure to set up basic obstacle avoidance with your layers, and don't forget to enable overlap prevention and deadlock prevention, and then set those things up as well. Alright, so we ice refers to behaviors that we set up with animations. We're still in the Essentials tab here, but so here we will set our idle to our idle behavior, our walk to our walk behavior, etc. When we spawn, we have it set now so that there is a 2-second recovery phase. This means that creatures will just kind of hang out for 2 seconds before they start reacting to the environment or players. And then we have a removing delay of 4. If you're setting up ice creatures as well and you're watching this video, super important you set up the removing delay. This makes it so you'll actually see the animation of the death play, and then the creature will be removed. We also set up the impact behavior. This makes it so that when creatures get hit, something happens to them. You get feedback. In this case, we're set it up to the defend behavior, but instead of using animation, which is a conflict with the death animation, we just have gone with audio and effects. So here we got an audio plays and then a special effects plays here. In this case, it's a blood particle. If you want to do this yourself and you're setting up ice, just make sure to set impact to the behavior, disable the animation or it'll conflict with the death animation, and then create audio. We have it set to a mixer. This way players can actually reduce the sound effects. And then we have the particle effects set onto the effects section. Super important, you say end on these and also detach. If you don't have that, it doesn't fire reliably. You can hit the creature like 10 times and it'll fire too. So, but if you set it to end, it'll fire every time you hit it. Alright, now we've also done the same thing with our death behavior here. So you can go into dead, and once again, if you're following along and using ice, what you're going to want to do is you can set up an audio, you can set up animation. The effect is bugged right now and doesn't work, but you can set up inventory. So what this is there are items that will drop when the creature dies. Initially, you'll need to create these items and put photon, or if you're using multiplayer, you have to put networking components on them, and then you're going to create ice items. And you can see here in our creature register we have ice items, and these items are the items we're referring to in here: loot 1 through 3, and XP drops here. All right. So what we did for XP, so we could give characters XP and also have a special effect, is we have a particle effect that we used previously in the game, and now I have also included a method that runs that looks for the player and awards them a certain amount of XP depending on what we have set for that specific creature. So it's a nice little trick you can do as well in your own game if you're trying to roll with some kind of reward system when creatures die. That's the way you can do it. Those items do have to be created on the ice creature register first, and then they also needed to be added in the status section. You'll find in status here we've got inventory. Just simply enable inventory, set however many slots you have items for, and then select them here in the drop down. Whatever you've created in the ice creature register will show up here. It's beautiful. You can also say detach on death, super important if you want them to drop, and then set an amount and a range. Good to go. Alright, so as I mentioned before, ice is driven by behaviors, it's driven by interaction, essentials, and missions, and those refer to behaviors and stuff that's in status. Behaviors, as I mentioned earlier, have animations in them. That's the main component of behaviors you're going to have that you're going to use, but there's also other things in there as well, depending on what your behavior is and what your needs are. So, for example, on attack, I'll go through this because this will be helpful for some people, but we have this set so that there's an animation that's looped, and then there's an audio effect that's also looped, timed to the animation. So you see here we have an interval of 1 second that fires immediately and then fires again on intervals of 1 second. If you want to set this up for your own creature, simply look at the animation details. It has the length of your animation set right there. So real easy to set that up. All you have to do is enable integer, and then it will let you do your impulses, or interval, but that stands for interval, I guess. Alright, so, and again, if you're using a mixer, make sure to set that so that your players can turn down effects. Now, we need to send out damage. Super important thing, right? We've got the animation loop, we've got an audio effect loop, but we need to send damage. Alright, you can't do that in a behavior. I mean, you can, but you don't want to because you can't set your target to what your interactor target is. So what you do is you create targets in the interaction section. In this case, I have the target of player, and we have it set to tag. This is the great thing about the ice system, is you can use tags so that we can dynamically find our targets. We spawn players in at runtime, so we needed to have it set to tag, right? So we've set our tag to player. This ensures that this creature will find anybody tagged player that comes within the range we set here of 12, and also the angle 270. This makes it so he can't see directly behind them, but he can see mostly around them, right? And we've got a priority set to 60, super important. If you want interaction to override everything on your creature, then you set your priorities in your interactions to be higher than your priorities in your missions, and I'll get to that in a little bit. We have target move specification, and in this case we're going to go with last known position. This means this is the last known position of the target we've acquired, and we've set a distance, in this case 1.8. This is what looks right, and you'll have to just play with this yourself as you set it up, because this is going to be different depending on the model and how big it is and how big your player is. And then last, on an interactor, you always set the behavior. In this case, we set it to run because we've acquired a target, we want to run to him, and this is where we're going to stop, 1.8 units out. Next, we set an attack. This is where we're saying, okay, we've gotten to our target, what do we want to do? We want to attack. So we create our behavior set to attack here. That has that looped animation and audio. And then to send damage, we're going to use a custom method. Now, a lot of people ask on the ICE forums, how do you send damage? How do you send custom damage? How do I make this component talk to this component? It's actually quite easy. All you have to do is write a simple custom damage handler. Alright, so what we did was we created a script called mob custom damage handler, And all it is doing is it's listening for this event right here. Oh, it's the same thing on our player, right? So we have one on our mob, one of our player. Our player sends a different message. Basically, all your custom damage handler is going to do is it's going to listen for that event. You're going to write inside that method ICE's method, right? So in this case, I'll go ahead and even open it up so you guys can see it, in case we got some people that are using ICE that aren't real super familiar with how to write this this in C#. So I'll show it here because, like I say, it is real easy to see. It looks like we crashed, so let me go ahead and just close that out, and we'll try again. It'll take a second. Yep, close the program. Okay, let's open it up again. Alright, it's not going to actually show you the scripting window in my stream. I'll go ahead and do it in here. So you guys can see a little bit here. We've got, this is the code we're using. Apply mob damage, right? So again, all we're doing is listening for this message, and then we're going to grab, we're going to convert any kind of numbers we need to, and then send it to the ICE system. So you're going to want to do a get component and grab the ICE creature control system here. See, ICC, get component, ICE creature control. And that way we can talk in our custom method here. We talk directly to it. We can say apply damage. Anytime you want to send damage on ICE creature system, all you got to do is say apply damage. But you got to talk directly to the component and then send a float. That's all you need to do. It's really simple. So there's that. Let's go back to here. So how do we send damage? All right, well, ICE is letting us send do a send message here, or a method. So that's what we did. We have now written the method in here that we put on the damage listener, damage handler, and we're going to send a float, a parameter. The last thing you need to do is you want to set an interval so that you can interval the damage. You can keep setting it out. As long as this whole loop is going as far as the attack, then it'll keep sending damage looped in time with the animation. As soon as something happens and the character gets out of range, dies, or this character dies, then the damage will stop. Alright, so that's basically how you set up your initial basic interaction with the AI system. And this is for this enemy mob to interact with a player. All we did was we went with a run and a target, and then we went with an attack behavior as the second act. Alright, and then a couple little things you always set up is the range. I've set the selection range to be only 0.1 unit higher than the stopping range. This means the creature, your enemy, can get a little bit out of range and still be attacked, but once it gets beyond 1.9, he'll fire back into the run behavior, so he gets close to him again. And then we also set up the field of view and the visibility check. This makes sure that the creature can see him or your target before attacking it, because I know players could be girls too. So the other thing that's real important to set up is to make sure you turn on sensoria. You turn on enable sensoria. That'll make it so that you can use those parameters when acquiring targets like field of view and visibility check. Last thing that you need to know is the missions. We set up missions, in this case a patrol mission, so the creature has some kind of basic thing to do. Certain creatures have other things to do that are a little bit more complex. For example, the stag will have a patrol mission, but he also has an escape mission that heals him. So when he gets to a certain amount of hit points, he'll run away and go heal himself by eating, and then go back to his normal behaviors. And with the lizard men, we don't have that. They're just gonna die, you know, as you beat them down. So we've got run, walk, walk, and hunt. Alright, so what this does means is that when this patrol mission kicks in, if the waypoint that we need to go to is far away, he's going to run to it, and then once they get there, they're going to walk around. They're going to do a leisure for a little bit, 6 seconds here, and then go to another waypoint. and we've set a behavior here, hunt. This is an animation where the lizard flicks his tongue and does some weird stuff. So it's just kind of like a random thing for him to do, kind of in between doing all of this. All right, and then lastly, we've set up our targets. So we got here, our targets are dynamic. That's set to a tag, and in this case, we went with an item that's in the it's in the environment. It's a tree. So we've set all of our trees to have the tag of wood, and then all we did was create 3 dynamic waypoints here, and with also random stopping positions. See? So instead of saying last position and target move specification, we say offset, and then you can give them a nice random position. In this case, it's just going to create a random position 20 units out from the waypoint, which in this case is a tree. And then last, set your waypoints to random. That'll make it so that they all go to different waypoints. You don't have all your creatures spawning in and picking the same first waypoint of their patrol mission. And that gives us basic behavior. So yesterday I tested this. It looked like the live stream was working. It pooped out. I'm going to make one little edit here, and then we're gonna make another test. So the problem I had was that he was sending out too much damage, so he was just wrecking me before I could actually test the character. So there we go. We'll reduce the damage. I'm going to apply the changes and then put them back in under the register. For now, we'll leave the ice mob merchant out because we'll come back and work on him next. First, we want to test our lizard creature, and then we'll also pause the stream and make sure nothing's gone wrong. All right, here we go. And let's hit play. All right, we forgot to activate something. 1 second. Here we go. And we're good to go. Didn't want that error rolling on there because it creates lag. Alright, come on, let's go. We got a lot of lag here. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a shot. Takes a little bit longer to load in the editor than it does in the live game, just FYI. Alright, and as you can see, we have our lizard men walking around, no problemo. They're doing their thing. I'm playing around with the new anti-aliasing plugin. So things might look a little bit funny initially. I'm not sure about the performance either, so we'll have to see how it works. It's kind of a new deal. It's Unity's actually their new post-processing stack, which is pretty decent. All right, see, so we got here. Every time the number shows out, it's coinciding with the animation and him damaging me. And as you see here, I can punch him, and every time I punch him, it sends blood out. I'll go ahead and quit my axe here and start doing some real damage. Oop, he's gonna kill me. I'll heal myself. Here we go. There we go. All right. Okay. Oh! Did he not kill me? All right. Yep. And there we go. There was the spawn for XP. And here's the loot that we set up. No problem. Ah, yes, I got healing potions again. Did I get healing potions? Oh no, my inventory's full. Let me throw some stuff out I don't care about here. You really need that healing potion. Yes. Alright. Oh, come on. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. Okay, so now I can heal myself. I can actually heal myself through magic too, so let me do that first. But yeah, you can see the, okay, so here we don't have the terrain set as an item to avoid. So he's having a little bit of a hard time right now, as you can see, going against those blocks that are in the way. So we might have to change that, or maybe even possibly include the blocks on a different layer or something like that. And we'll see. We'll play with it a little bit. We do have it avoiding trees and houses, though, because those are the two main things we're going to be putting down. Players are going to be putting down. Oh, there goes our stag. He's running away. Oh, here we go. These dudes are going to kick my butt. I need to get out of here. So Astral Terra has kind of like a real-time combat system. I can move around and jump and all this kind of stuff while I fight. Similar to kind of like DDO. It's what we based a little bit of that off of. We really like that. And what we do, we use a lot of ray casting, sphere casting, and that kind of stuff to determine damage and hits. Here we go. Oh, more healing potions. Nice. Oh. You know, oh, this is really weird. We're having a problem here with this. I think this like healing potion is bugged or something. Here. Alright, let's get out of here. This guy's kicking my butt again. Alright, here we go. We got the deer and the stag. They're running away when I get close, see? So I've got them set on kind of a basic, again, some kind of more basic behavior, where they will actually seek cover when I get too close to them. Instead of just running away, they will seek cover. So in this case, I've set cover to be trees, but trees are also an item that's on obstacle avoidance. So I've set it so that it's they have a 4 stopping distance, and then as far as that cover system and that waypoint system. So now, like as I get close to them, see, they'll start running away, and then they'll try to seek cover, which again in this case is going to be the tree layer. Yeah, see, there he goes. And he just keeps trying to run away from me right now. So that's what we've got set on the behavior for those guys, and you can totally kill them too. And right now, the doe possibly might have their priority to follow the stag set higher than their priority to get away from me. So I have to take a look at that as well. So we're still experimenting with a lot of this stuff. So, but that's one of the things we like about the AI, the new AI system, is it's much more complex. We can do a lot more with it. So next we're going to work on the merchant, since we got the lizard man working the way we want him. He's cruising around the terrain. We've got our speed set right, all of our animations. We've got our feedback, our combat feedback working. We got blood, we got sound, and we also are giving inventory, XP, loot, XP, and then last, yeah, no, that was it actually. So next we'll work on the merchant, and I'll go through kind of setting that up by hand. First we're going to go ahead and pause the live stream. I'm going to make sure that everything is working okay. So that's it. We'll be back in a little bit.